What is up? Welcome to WireTapped. We are in the thick of it now as we head into week 10. The fantasy playoffs are a month away. If your leagues are anything like my leagues, nothing is solidified yet. More than half the league is fighting for playoff spots right now. And there's a good chance you or someone you're competing with lost their quarterback and or tight end this week. Hopefully we can get you some help on waivers. It's not pretty, but I think we can find something. Let's get into it. What is up? Welcome to WireTapped, Club Fantasy's weekly waiver wire show. I'm your host, Ryan. He's Josh. How you doing today, my friend?
Not too bad. Not too terrible. Woke up kind of seeing the scores of all my leagues. I have a dynasty league where I was damn sure certain that I was going to be struggling in, and somehow like I'm in the top half of the league in points, and I'm like, wait, should I be buying instead of selling? But then I just lost Tucker Kraft, and I'm just like, well, I have Trey McBride, so I'll be okay.
Yeah, no shit. I think you're going to be just
but
fine.
Half my roster is on a bye this week, so I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah, that's my Tuesday morning kind of routine as well, is run through all my leagues and see where I'm still fighting for playoff spots. I think I'm flat out of it in one redraft league, and then I have two productive struggle dynasties, and as I've told you guys all season, redraft best ball did not go my way this year. So I'm just trying to play spoiler. So
same.
Josh, week 9 didn't go a lot of people's way, certainly for injuries. Before we get into that, I'll remind everybody, hit like, hit subscribe, do all the things you need to do to help us get moved up the YouTube algorithm. We do this show every single week, so if you hit that subscribe button, you'll get notifications when we're going to go live. We go live like 6 times a week. And if you happen to be listening on Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button. If you feel like we're taking too long to answer your question, we do offer super chat. If you throw us a couple of bucks, we'll move you to the front of the line, answer your question right away. And if you want to talk fantasy football after this show ends, we have a free Discord as well. Josh is going to drop that link in the comments right now. It's also in the description of this video. Before we get into waivers, and we're going to have a little bit different flow of the show this week for numerous reasons, mostly my fault. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let's talk news and notes. Jim Harbaugh announced yesterday that he does not believe they were going to open the return window for Amari and Hampton until after their week 12 bye. On top of that, the Chargers have now lost Joe Alt for the season with his second ankle injury in 3 weeks? Well, no, he sat out 4 weeks last time, but his second ankle injury in a month. So that puts both of their starting tackles on IR. Kevin Stefanski is once again handing off play calling duties. This is the second season in a row. It's going to be Tommy Rees calling plays. Josh points out that he did this last season with Ken Dorsey, and then they fired Ken Dorsey.
It just feels like this is what Stefanski uses as the excuse to keep his job. Well, I wasn't the one calling the plays.
Yeah, you forget what happened the first 2 months of the season. Remember, those second 2 months, those were way worse.
The NFL is all about what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, exactly. Garrett Wilson is going to return to practice this week, and the Browns have also designated Cedric Tillman to come off of the IR. Josh, I think the most intriguing part of this news is certainly everything that's going on with the Chargers. Kamani Vidal let everybody down this week. I was very excited because I had heard this week 12 news for Hampton, and I had been reading week 14 for his return. So I was very excited for Kamani Vidal. Needless to say, it was one bad week, but my excitement has waned for sure.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I mean, you're basically going to get Kamani Vidal now for the next month, which, if you picked him up on waivers, you're happy about it. Look, it's one bad week. The Titans do have a solid interior. So I don't find it, or not Chargers, excuse me, the Titans, or at least they did until they just traded Draymond Jones. So I don't think it's that crazy to be like, oh, a running back struggled against the Titans. They have 2 really solid defensive tackles. You move on to the next week. And this felt like a trap game for the Chargers anyway. Just remember when they went cross country to play the Giants and lost, going cross country to play the Titans. It almost didn't go their way. Let's be honest here.
So you won a trap game, which not a lot of teams can say they didn't do. So
correct. Yeah. So I'm not looking at like the one dud from Vidal as a bad thing. Like, this is concerning, I think, if you've been holding Hampton. because now it's like, well, shit, now we're probably not going to get him until the playoffs if you're lucky to make it there.
Yeah.
Like, if I have Hampton, I might actually be exploring trade options because somebody's going to fall in love with the rookie hype, right?
Great point.
And I literally had somebody text me yesterday, hey, I've got somebody that is trying to work a trade with me. They want to get Hampton. I'll be like, take a bag of chips. It's going to get you more points right now than Amari and Hampton over the next month.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. I wanted to focus more, or not more, but also on the tackle situation. We've talked about this already with the young tight end Arande Getz, and he's not a blocker. So they're not going to use him for inline. This might get Will Dissly on the field more if he's healthy. But Josh, do we see more quick passes out of Justin Herbert now? Is this going to open things up for Gadsden and likely Ladd McConkey as well?
I was going to say, I think those two benefit the most. On the flip side of that, if you're running out maybe 12 personnel or you have your blocking tight end in there, if the blocking tight end's in there and you're still running 11 personnel, now Gadsden's off the field.
Yeah.
You're running 12 personnel, Gadsden's on the field, but guess who's coming off? It's probably Ladd McConkey.
Ladd McConkey, because there's
was
no
the issue
role
that we had in the beginning part of the season.
Yep.
So I think those two get a slight downgrade for me, just in the terms of they're the ones coming off the field.
It's a really good point. For Will Dissly to get on the field, it's likely Gadsden or Ladd McConkey coming off the field. Great take there. Josh, before we get into waivers, and I want to let KJ Frederick, I don't know if you've watched the show before, we will get every question answered. Your question actually plays perfectly into our top 5, so we'll get to that in just a moment. But Josh, I think we need to address the elephant in the room. Zach points out that you were in fact right on Bam night. The game did not go the way Josh thought it was.
No, it definitely did not. It definitely did not. I was kind of sweating. I was like, all right, 10 points to get my over. Like it's very much within the realm of possibilities. But I'm sitting here and I'm watching this game last night, and this Cardinals defense, like I've seen really good Jonathan Gannon defenses. He was the former defensive coordinator with the Eagles. But I've also seen some absolutely horrendous Jonathan Gannon defenses. They got their first round pick back after starting the year on the PUP list, Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. It was Ole Miss. Holy shit, that kid is a fucking game wrecker.
Yeah.
He put that Cowboys offensive line on notice, and Dak Prescott had no clue what to do with the football. Like, that completely neutralized their passing game. And like George Pickens got a couple like late balls, CeeDee Lamb here and there. But like, I'm thinking to myself, like, why are you guys targeting Kevontae Turpin? Why? You have George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, Pickens had, I think it was 79 yards.
He did.
CeeDee Lamb hit 85. So like, it's not like either of them really had bad games by any means. Javonte Williams had the costly fumble late. I think if the Cowboys kick that field goal in the beginning part of the game, it's a very different game as it plays out, right? But Bam Knight is just not a good running back.
You're 100%.
And that's the point of all this, right? Like, Bam Knight is not a good Amari DiMercato had more juice last night than Bam
Knight.
The
run last night. Yep.
And like this is my issue, I think, with so many in the fantasy community when we're talking about next man up or, this guy's got such a great matchup. And it's like, okay, cool. This guy might have a good matchup, but if he's the fourth stringer on the depth chart, there's probably a reason why he's the fourth stringer on the depth chart. Because he's not good. So he makes that bad run defense look average.
In my defense, Jakobi Brissett stole the short yardage touchdown.
Well, and I mentioned that in our group chat.
You 100% called it. So
I was like, well, Brissett just stole his touchdown. So like,
I mean, and Bam Knight had a shitty night to begin with. 20 receiving yards, which I guess is nice. I guess if I told people to start him, which I did, and I started it myself, he didn't zero, which is something. But it was certainly not a pretty night. Give us just a moment. We're going to get into questions. Let's get into top 5 waivers first, Josh. So when I initially looked at this list, mistakes were made. I do think waivers in general this week and the top 5 are not the highest quality players. But I made a terrible mistake, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So last week, I did call Josh Downs, who had a pretty solid week 9. Everybody else was very average. They all scored points. They just weren't that great. So my top 5, as I sent them to Josh yesterday, and we kept my top 5. We'll talk about this in a moment. Alec Pierce is number 1. Tory Horton at number 2, Tyjae Spears at 3, Bhayshul Tuten at 4, and Isaiah Davis at 5. And as I'm putting the show sheet together, it smacks me in the face. How in the world did I miss Parker Washington? So I have updated the article that is on clubfantasyffl.com right now with Parker Washington. I'm actually going to start the show with him, Josh, because I think, even though Alec Pierce is the thumbnail, in PPR leagues, which the great majority of people play, Parker Washington is the better ad at this point.
I mean, 100%. Like, he ran the Travis Hunter role, and Travis Hunter's now out a month. Parker Washington ran about 59% out of the slot, saw 8 catches, 90 yards. I think you mentioned in the article that he has, 19 targets?
19 targets over their last 2 games.
Last 2 weeks?
Before the bye. Well, last 3 weeks. It's before the bye and after the bye.
Okay, so last 2 games.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's target volume that you want from any player, let alone somebody that you can find on waivers.
Yeah.
BTJ managers would kill to have a target share that big right now.
Ain't that the truth?
So that should tell you, like, this guy needs to be rostered. And I don't really know what else to say. Like, you want target volume, you want catches. Parker Washington's giving you both. Like, He's not a sexy player by any means. Like, he's not a great, I think he was a 6th-round pick when he came out a couple of years ago. So, like, it's really easy to kind of get lost in this. But we talk about this all the time, the whole next man up. Like, some of these players, they don't bounce around between the X, the Y, the Z. They have one or the other, and that's their role. And when one player goes out, they step into that role. That is what Parker Washington is doing. He's stepping into Travis Hunter's role.
Yep.
And Travis Hunter, for everything that he didn't do because he was over on defense, Liam Cohen said, we want to focus on getting Travis Hunter the football. And then, bam, Travis Hunter goes out. That game plan isn't going to change.
Nope.
And now Brian Thomas Jr. is dealing with what is supposedly a high ankle sprain or an ankle injury or something.
Yep.
So that tells you that Parker Washington's probably going to see even more targets out of necessity.
He seems to be the wide receiver one. He's out there in a ton of leagues. If you are wide receiver needy, and don't forget, week 12 is a rough bye week coming up for folks as well. Keep an eye on
this is the kind of move, because you're in that pivotal stretch where the next 4 weeks are going to define whether or not you make 100%. The playoffs. If you still have FAAB left, I'm spending damn near all of it to go get Parker Washington, because that's a guy that can help you win your league, or at least get you to the league. To the championship.
Makes a ton of sense. We see all the questions, guys. We're going to get to them right after this segment. Josh, we do need to talk about the cover guy, and that is Alec Pierce. And I kind of think Alec Pierce is, this is going to sound so weird, the anti-Parker Washington, whereas they're both good, because Parker Washington is safe, slow, and steady, wins the race. Alec Pierce, it takes him one play to make your week. Alec Pierce can bust out a 70-yard touchdown, and if that's the only catch he makes that day, a la Mark Andrews, it was a hell of a start. So...
yeah, I mean, the upside here is that, he hasn't totally been boom or bust in the sense that it's just like one play here and there.
Target volume's actually been nice over the last
few weeks. He has 4 games this season over 10 fantasy points. We know exactly what his role is in this offense. Like, he's playing this, like, I think it's more of a traditional X, whereas Pittman's playing more the Z role, and then you have Downs in that Y slot role. But with the idea that, hey, he has a defined role, he's still like 4th in targets, right? Yeah. Like, you're still looking at Pittman, you're looking at Warren, you're looking at Downs, maybe JT, and then here's Alec Pierce, right?
Yeah.
But if the Colts ever find themselves in negative game scripts like they did this past week, Alec Pierce is going to ball. Like, he's going to see targets. They threw the ball 50 times this past week. And Alec Pierce had the same number of receiving yards on less catches than Michael Pittman, because that is Pierce's game. So what would caution me this week going out to get Alec Pierce, Atlanta is tough against outside receivers.
Yeah. And I mentioned this in my article, they're on bye in week 11. They have a weird bye. So
yeah. So this might be an instance where let your league mates pay up to go get Alec Pierce.
And then sign him in week 11 when they cut him.
Say, you know what? I'm going to throw that like $5 bid and go get Josh Downs, because that's the guy that's going to ball out this week.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. That's all we're going to spend on the top 5. Josh, I'm going to throw the question segment in here, and then we'll get into the new segments I added. So just a quick reminder, my top 5 are Alec Pierce, Tory Horton, Tyjae Spears, Bhayshul Tuten, and Isaiah Davis. I dropped the ball on Parker Washington. He is included on the full article on Club Fantasy FFL.com. You guys have been waiting so patiently. Let's go ahead and get into the chat for the week. Frederick starts us off. Need some insight. Are Brian Thomas Jr. or Jakobi Meyers safely droppable? It would be to pick up Parker Washington, Tory Horton, Pop Douglas, Christian Watson, Darius Slayton, or Alec Pierce. Josh, I'm in a similar situation to Frederick, and I made the decision today. I am dropping Jakobi Meyers for Parker Washington on a team where I have Brian Thomas Jr. I'm not going to drop BTJ yet, and we talked about this a little bit before the show. I want Parker Washington of this group in my full PPR league. I am fine with Parker Washington for Jakobi Meyers.
Yeah, Parker Washington would be the guy that I want. Tory Horton took advantage of an opportunity. Now, if Cooper Kupp misses extended time, then I think Tory Horton becomes much more interesting. Pop Douglas, again, Atlanta sucks against slot wide receivers. He goes 4 for 100 and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs chipped in a touchdown as well. Those are guys that play the slot for New England. Christian Watson is slowly getting back into the swing of things. Golden suffered a little bit of an injury, Matthew Golden. Obviously, they just lost Tucker Kraft. I think we're going to see a very different Packers offense this week against Philly. I don't know which of these Green Bay wide receivers is going to get the Quinion Mitchell treatment. I'd wager it's probably Watson. He's not somebody I'm targeting this week. I do think Slayton has a decent matchup against the Bears this week. But again, of all of these guys, if I'm looking at just 1 week, Parker Washington's the guy that I want. The thing with Brian Thomas Jr., and Brian, we talked about this earlier before the show.
Yeah.
His season right now feels so similar to what Rome Odunze went through last year.
100%.
Brian Thomas Jr. has 60 targets in 8 games. That's healthy target volume.
That's what you would. If I told you that at the beginning of the season, you'd be like, it's a little low, but I'm happy with it.
Yeah, like it's not the top 7 wide receiver that I drafted, but that's strong wide receiver 2 numbers. The problem is he has caught 50% of his passes. 50%. That is some god-awful concentration drops, or fuck it, BTJ's out there somewhere. Heave hoes that aren't accurate, right?
Yeah.
And that's a quarterback issue.
And that's where we
Trevor
landed.
Lawrence problem.
I say that's where we landed on this. Is this appears to be a Trevor Lawrence issue?
You know, Brian Thomas Jr. is still the leading receiver on the Jaguars. So for me, that deserves to be rostered. Jakobi Meyers, on the other hand, the Raiders' offense is just awful. Now, we're going to go through and we're going to tell you a little bit later that Jakobi Meyers can very easily be dropped. And considering the history of this show, when we tell you to drop somebody, they're going to pop the next week, or hopefully in this case, get traded, since the NFL trade deadline is at 4:00 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that's the cautionary tale that I would offer you, Frederick. But I'm perfectly fine going to get Parker Washington for Jakobi Meyers.
Completely agree. Marcus Campo has a loaded wide receiver room. They were asking a lot of this question yesterday. How do we feel about trading Drake London and Teteroa McMillan for Quinshon Judkins? This is to acquire that third running back I told them that I needed to pick up yesterday. I'll say the same advice I said before. I would rather give up Higgins than London, so I would start with Higgins in this trade. But overall, Josh, with his stacked wide receiver room, I'm okay to make this move.
Yeah, but you don't need to give up both those guys for Judkins. Like you're going after a running back that A, doesn't catch passes, and B, is on a bad offense. So like he has his ceiling is top 15. Like he does not have, in my opinion, a top 5 ceiling.
Yep.
Like you're talking like low end RB1, but more comfortably in that high end RB2 range. So like I'm not giving up what I see as a top 12 wide receiver in Drake London and a top 24 wide receiver in Teteroa McMillan. Like pick one.
Yeah. And like I said, if they want 2 receivers, throw Higgins instead of Drake London.
Or like Higgins and Franklin. That's what I would do.
I say Franklin would be an interesting trade as well. Yeah. Third Eye wants to know, are we holding Kayshon Boutte through this injury, or would we drop him for Pierce, Douglas, Tory Horton, Tez Johnson, Godwin, Parker Washington, or Dobbs? For me, it's Washington and Pierce in that order in a full PPR league, Josh, easily.
Full PPR, I would take Washington, then Boutte, and then I would go into the rest. Boutte's already come out. I guess apparently players have private Discords. Cool. So he came out on his own personal Discord and talked about he just got the MRI results back, and it's a low grade, like a grade 1 hamstring strain.
Okay.
So there's a good chance that he plays this week. Now, preface that the following week they do play Thursday, so it would not surprise me one bit if the Patriots hold him out Sunday to make sure that he's fully healthy for Thursday versus potentially re-aggravating it, missing most of that game, and then Thursday on top of that before.
And then probably week 13 going into their week 14 bye.
So. Correct. Yeah. So I again, not a doctor. Do not take my medical advice because I have none. This is just speculation for what if I were running the team and how I would handle a situation, because hamstrings are ticky-tacky.
Yep. Zach throwing out whatever the opposite of a Monday Miracle is, though I guess it was a Monday Miracle for the opponent. Williams' fumble caused a loss while they were facing CeeDee Lamb. So just the events in the fourth quarter of that game, wild. So
that's crazy.
Easy. Jakobi is better than Murray. We talked about this yesterday. Is Jacoby Brissett putting Kyler Murray out of a job?
You know what? The Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the broadcast basically came out and said if they were the Cardinals, they would be running out Jacoby Brissett, even if Kyler Murray were healthy. The offense just looks better with Brissett. He's got a better command of the offense. Marvin Harrison Jr. is getting involved.
Yeah.
Trey McBride, 5 for 55 and a touchdown. Like, their offensive weapons straight out look better than what they were with Kyler Murray. Who was it? PFT, Mike Florio wrote a piece and talked about, this is like year 3 for Osenford, the GM, and then Jonathan Gannon. And, anytime that you're in that's a pivotal stage for most coaches and GMs, right? When it comes to ownership and expecting results, blah, 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 this and that. They lost 5 straight going into this week. They're now 3-5. It wouldn't surprise me if they end up with yet another losing season.
Yep.
So if you are pitching for your job to ownership, what's the first thing that you're going to say? Well, you gave us a quarterback.
Yeah.
You handed him a second-year contract. So you're asking us to succeed when we didn't get to pick the person that leads us.
100%.
So basically Florio came out and said, do not be surprised if Kyler Murray is not an Arizona Cardinal in 2026.
Yeah, it seems almost likely at this point.
Yeah.
Harry Brooks wants to know, is it okay to carry 2 tight ends when you only have 3 bench spots?
Damn.
And first I'll say, this term of is it okay? It's certainly okay. You run your team how you want to run your team. Josh, my take on this is everybody has a shallow bench.
Mm-hmm.
Harry has Gadsden and Kittle. I don't want to give my league anyone who can help them. And if you drop Gadsden or Kittle, some team in your league is getting better. I'm okay in this short benched league as long as you're not hurting your own starting lineup. I'm okay with hoarding tight ends on a short bench.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where you need to explore trading one of them.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Well, so I have Travis Kelce on bye this week.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as this bye week's over, I have Kelce and Gadsden on a team. I don't want to trade Gadsden, but it would be dumb not to see what I can get. I'm in wide receiver trouble. I get Kelce done with his bye.
Yeah.
I would rather keep Gadsden, but it'll be past the trade deadline at that point. So I need to make a trade as soon as this bye is over.
Yeah, that's how you should approach it.
Yep. And then Harry also says he has 1 IR spot to stash somebody. Mike Evans, Jayden Reed, Brandon Ayuk. To me, the only answer to this question is Jayden Reed. I don't believe Evans plays this season, and I'm starting not to believe that Ayuk plays this season.
Yeah, it's Jayden Reed out of these 3. I think Shanahan gave an update on Ayuk, and basically there was no update.
Yep.
And for a team that needs wide receiver help right now, that's concerning.
All right, next 2 questions play perfectly into the segments I wanted to run, Josh. So you may have noticed in my top 5, I did not give any quarterbacks or any tight ends. And for the article, I mentioned in the article, I don't like telling people to roster quarterbacks and tight ends. I would take any of the 6 players I mentioned over quarterbacks and tight ends. But the fact of the matter is this. A lot of people lost Jayden Daniels this week. A lot of people lost Tucker Kraft this week. So Josh, I want to do specific segments for these 2 players. The first segment is called, So You Lost Jayden Daniels. Now what? Josh, I'm going to give you a top 5 of players I would go after if I lost Jayden Daniels and was still fighting for the fantasy playoffs. So my top 5, and I'll give you the percentages these folks are available. Joe Flacco is out there in 68% of leagues, but he is on bye this week. I don't think he's the problem solver we want him to be. Sam Darnold's out there in 58%. Trevor Lawrence in 70%. Aaron Rodgers in 63%. And CJ Stroud is the next best quarterback, Josh. He's only available in 44% of leagues, and he is dealing with a concussion. So, Josh, if you were fighting for the playoffs right now, you lost Jayden Daniels, how would you approach the situation knowing that this is likely the best that's out there on waivers?
The person I would target is Joe Flacco, with the caveat of go pick up Bryce Young.
I say now you're driving 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah. That's the downside of it, right? But for me, then it's Darnold. Like the way that he's playing right now, I think he had 3 incompletions on Monday night or Sunday night. Like he's firing on all cylinders. He's got arguably the best wide receiver in 2025 right now in JSN. Like there's plenty of room for him to continue to get better in this Clint Kubiak system. I mean, it's unfathomable what Joe Flacco is doing right now. Like there's no two ways about it. Like if you told me his arm fell off in week 14, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's 40 years old, but at the end of the day, you ride that roller coaster until the fucking brakes don't work anymore. Like, and you go down with that shit because like I saw a stat that right now the QB1 in fantasy in points per game is Lamar Jackson. Joe Flacco, just as a Bengal, is averaging more fantasy points per game than the current QB1 in fantasy. That's why it's Joe Flacco as the answer to this question.
I'm just looking. People are dropping the questions as we're talking about them. And apparently there are options out there in leagues, Josh, that are far worse than what I'm even giving. So I guess, Josh, let's rank these because I think it's going to help some of the people in the chat right now. So we're going Flacco at 1, Darnold at 2, just how I ranked them. How do you look at Lawrence, Rodgers, and Stroud? All have already had their bye, but again, Stroud is dealing with the concussion right now, so you're almost having to roster 2 if you're going to roster him.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at Stroud as like the Joe Flacco light, just in the sense that you have to deal with the missing week 10. But Rodgers just doesn't throw enough. That's what makes me nervous with him.
Yeah, you want to talk about boom or bust. It's you have to hope that he has a bug up his crawl and is going to drop 4 touchdowns that week, and they're perfectly content using their running backs inside the 5-yard line. So
Lawrence has sneaky rushing upside. Like I feel like when the arm just isn't there, when the receivers aren't working, like
5 rushing touchdowns.
I had Travis Etienne as a top 10 running back heading into the week, and I'm like, this is a prime opportunity. He can score multiple touchdowns. Guess who scored multiple touchdowns on the ground? Fucking Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
Like it was right there for him, but drops back to pass. He can't figure out which wide receiver to throw it to. So he says, fuck it, I'll tuck it and run. So that's what he does. So I'd probably put Lawrence at 3 just from that.
Okay.
And then I would say Stroud and Rodgers. So
okay. So Josh put
Stroud ahead of Rodgers. I do not trust Lawrence at all. Let me be perfectly clear.
Yep. Now, if you ask questions regarding this, we're still going to get to them right after the tight end part of this segment. But those are how we would look for them. Joe Flacco has to be your priority, and then just find who's going to be cheap for you as a second option just to get through this next week. But guess what? We also lost the top 5 tight end this week. So you lost Tucker Kraft. Now what? And Josh, I actually struggle with this. There could have been 7 names on this list, but I wanted to keep it to a top 5. And I'll be interested to see if you agree with my top 5 or if you would have put either of my other 2 guys in it. Harold Fannin is going to be my number 1 priority coming off of his bye week, 50% available. I think Colston Loveland deserves some love after what he did this week, 75%. Juwan Johnson's coming back alive volume-wise, 68%. Theo Johnson, I want to talk about 67%. And then I debated Mason Taylor. I debated Dalton Schultz. But Josh, you kind of hit this best when we talked about offenses. The offense is the offense. And I think there might be some play for Luke Musgrave, 99% available, obviously, to just step in. He's not going to do what Tucker Kraft did, but I think the volume could be there for him.
Yeah, and I highlighted Musgrave because I wanted to talk about this because Joel Worth, one of our contributors here at Club Fantasy, he's talked about this. He's a big Packers fan, and he does bring up that, the Packers not only like Musgrave, but they drafted him ahead of Tucker Kraft. So, but this is kind of the way that I look at this, because in reality, these are 2 very different tight ends. One is more of an inline tight end, whereas Tucker Kraft is more the move tight end. They use him a lot out of the slot, seam routes, those types of things. If you want a player comparison for an idea of how you can potentially replace production, going from Kraft to Musgrave would be like if you lose George Kittle, like prime George Kittle, where he's a yak king, and replacing him with old aging Zach Ertz. They're two completely different players.
So you don't care about yards anymore. You care about touchdowns.
You need touchdowns, plain and simple. And what's the problem?
Unpredictable.
When the Packers are in close, they're
Josh
giving
Jacobs.
it to Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Luke Musgrave does not have that touchdown upside, in my opinion.
I think that's fair.
So you're basically relying on 10 yards of reception, 8-9 yards per reception. Luke Musgrave was over 14 last season. I can't remember specifically what he was at this year, but I know it was like over 12.
Yeah.
So that's a big issue in terms of verify that really quick while I talk, Ryan.
Yep.
So like you're going to see some people that will see Musgrave on waivers and they're going to go out and they're going to grab Musgrave because, he's just going to fit the Tucker Kraft role, because that's kind of what we talk about with all of these different wide receivers is it's next man up. It's going in and doing all this. So pump the brakes a little bit on Musgrave. There's a reason he's 99% roster.
Still cannot verify. I'm not on Twitter right now. So you keep verifying. I'll do some talking.
All right.
Okay. We got 2 people saying it in the chat now. It's happening. So let's just go ahead and throw it up on the screen as we fuck everything up. Jakobi Meyers is now stealing Parker Washington's role. He is no longer droppable. I don't know if Parker Washington's my number 1 ad. Parker should still be fine this week. But Jakobi Meyers is now a Jacksonville Jaguar, Josh.
I mean, cool. I guess is really kind of the only way to look at it. Like, cool. Like, sure, you lose Travis Hunter. Obviously, Brian Thomas Jr. has been iffy. But I don't know that Jakobi Meyers is just going to come right in 1-2 weeks and just light the world. Like, we saw this last year with Amari Cooper, right? Amari Cooper gets traded to the Bills. Everybody's like, oh, Josh Allen's got a new wide receiver 1. He didn't do shit. So I think that if you have Meyers, I'm holding. That's kind of what I'm looking at.
100%.
I'm not reaching to acquire him.
Correct.
Because you also have to take into account. So now what happens when Travis Hunter comes back in 3 weeks?
Exactly.
Right?
Now you have 3
and you don't
guys
trade.
designed...
I think Rappaport just reported that the trade was 2 4th-round picks. So
they're
those
playing Meyers.
Yeah, like you're playing Meyers. Like that's
it also
what
tells
they
me
want
that
to do.
It also tells me this Brian Thomas Jr. ankle sprain might be as bad as an ankle
potentially
sprain.
worse. Yeah. So I think there's going to be room for Jakobi Meyers, but until he gets up to speed with the offense, and again, he's a veteran, it could very well happen. I still think Parker Washington is the preferred option there.
Okay.
Now, going back to the earlier question, would I drop Meyers for Parker Washington? Now, you've got what? You already have
3
2 Jacksonville wide receivers because they had BTJ as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to invest that heavily in Jacksonville wide receivers. Like, that passing offense isn't that good.
I'm going to bet that over the last 2 weeks, 2 games, 3 weeks, Parker Washington has earned Trevor Lawrence's trust.
Yeah.
I'm betting on Parker Washington.
And then I think that's what you have to do, because Trevor Lawrence is so skittish behind that line. Bad. Like, I just don't know. It worries me.
Someone asked, does this help T-Law? No, it does not.
T-Law can't help T-Law.
Exactly. And then Josh, Third Eye, who dropped the news in the chat as well, wants to know, does this do anything for you? Because I know you have not been a fan of this group to begin with, for the Las Vegas wide receiver group.
Well, I think you're going to see an uptick in routes run for Dante Thornton Jr.
I think so.
I think Tyler Lockett becomes a very interesting add in deeper leagues, because they have a rapport, Tyler Lockett and Geno Smith, going back to their Seattle days.
Can slide right into the Jakobi Meyers.
Exactly. Yeah. And, they called his number quite a bit on Sunday. So, but again, like, the only way this Raiders offense takes a step forward is if you start seeing more Trey Tucker, is if you start seeing more Jack Besh, is if you start seeing more Dante Thornton Jr. So I think in the interim, it's probably Tyler Lockett would be the guy that I would prefer. Trey Tucker, sure, you can get those boom weeks, but again, he can't beat man coverage, can't beat press. He can get deep, but the way that Geno Smith is throwing the football and playing quarterback right now, like he can't even get him the football.
All right, Josh, let's wrap this segment up with this. Someone offered him BTJ for Jakobi Meyers. I'm still going to take the Brian Thomas Jr. side. Even if I need to make the decision right now, I'm taking the Brian Thomas Jr. side.
Yeah, I would too.
I'm going to keep.
But again, I like this is really interesting because I don't know the severity of this BTJ injury, but going out and getting Jakobi Meyers makes me think that, again, there might be some he might be another candidate for IR. It's a high ankle sprain. Like,
if you can hold off on this decision for about 12 hours, I think you're going to get a lot more clairvoyance, whatever I'm trying to say. Clarity is the word I'm looking for. Sorry, I'm trying to read the chat. I see all of the questions, guys. You guys are slamming us with questions. Let's quickly finish this tight end segment up, and then we will get through all the questions. This is going to be less of a waiver show. Josh, let's just break this down to the brass tacks. You've talked a little bit about Musgrave. I want you to get some time to talk about Colston Loveland. And then at the end of talking about Loveland, rank your 5 priorities so folks know if they lost Tucker Kraft, what can they do here? So a reminder, Josh, how I ranked them: Harold Fannin, Colston Loveland, Juwan Johnson, Theo Johnson, and Luke Musgrave. Talk to me about Loveland in this huge week he just came off of.
Yeah, I mean, I touched on Loveland a little bit yesterday, so I don't want to go too in depth, but basically, he had his big breakout. It becomes, do you put the genie back in the bottle, right? He's been splitting snaps with Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet missed week 8. Colston Loveland, season high 38 yards. Cole Kmet leaves early in week 9, sets a new season high, 118 yards, has 2 touchdowns. Kmet's got a concussion. We've seen him miss multiple games with concussions in the past. Maybe this is another scenario. All I do know, the next 3 games, Chicago plays the Giants, who allow 14 points per game to tight ends since week 5, plays Minnesota, who allowed 19.3 fantasy points per game since week 5 to tight ends, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who allow 20 fantasy points per game to the tight end position since week 5. So
looking good.
All of this is set up for Colston Loveland to absolutely boom over the next month.
All right, Josh, those 5 guys that I mentioned are on the list. How are you prioritizing them?
Loveland, Fannin, Theo Johnson, Juwan Johnson, and then way down at the bottom, Luke Musgrave.
Yeah, you're not a Musgrave fan, and that's absolutely fair. Would you take Mason Taylor over Luke Musgrave, Josh?
Oh, God, yes.
Okay, there you go.
Honestly, I would take Mason Taylor. I think I would take Taylor 3rd on this list.
Okay, so there you guys go. If you lost Luke, why am I blanking? Tucker Kraft. Those are the players that you're looking for right now. I will throw out just quickly, and we don't need to get into this at all. I love what I'm seeing from Theo Johnson with Jackson Dart at quarterback. I think there's something developing there. I'm really excited.
Not quite volume, but he's scoring touchdowns, and now I'll take it.
Looks at him when it matters. Exactly. Yeah. All right, folks, you have been waiting very patiently. We have 19 questions in the queue. Let's get through some of these, Josh. Zach says Stroud, Darnold, Purdy, or McCarthy with Mahomes out this week. It's hard not to take Sam Darnold from this group coming off of what he just did.
You know, I mean, I agree with you. That Arizona defense just shut down the high-flying Cowboys offense.
Very different matchup.
Who does Minnesota have this week?
I have not looked.
Because after what McCarthy did, it looks a little interesting. They got the Ravens. Now, the Ravens have made some improvements. Ravens are going to Minnesota. I think I'd probably still go Darnold. I'm not trusting Purdy. There's a good chance that he probably won't even play, even though Sleeper already has some projected points. And Stroud's probably out. So,
yep. Trone lost Jayden, picked up Fields as a placeholder. Because he wasn't locked on waivers because of the bye. Fucking 1,000 IQ move there, Trone. Love that for you. Someone's willing to trade them Jackson Dart. Would you give up Parker Washington in a second? You need a quarterback. Obviously, that trade's about to fall apart. If you can hit accept right now, go hit accept as quickly as you can before they can pull that trade back and then see if the league vetoes it. Niori, thoughts on trading away Derrick Henry and Wandale for Bajan? I'm doing this immediately. Yep.
Not even a question. Doing it.
Yep. Trun says they may want another wide receiver, but with McLaurin and Hunter injured, he can't afford to give up another wide receiver. His only healthy wide receivers are Nico, Devonta, Olave, Debo, and Parker. I think I'd still do it for Debo.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, so
I think Debo's value just tanked after losing Jayden Daniels. So
yeah, go get Jackson Dart, Trone. You need him, and it's all about making the playoffs at this point. Was offered Dynasty was offered Easy was offered Trey McBride and a third for Sam Laporta, with both projected with a. Okay, hold on a second. You were going to get McBride in a third. You have to give up Laporta.
You're getting the better tight end and a draft pick. I'm doing that 1,000 times. Yes.
Well, they're giving up 2 draft picks though. They're giving up Laporta and 2 seconds.
So.
Okay, I agree. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure we're looking.
All right, I wanted to make sure I was reading that correctly, but yeah, no, McBride is the tight end you want, plain and simple. I don't care what other draft picks I have to give up.
Yep. Drop T.J. Hawkinson or Hunter Henry. It's T.J. Hawkinson for me, Josh. He's as average as it gets right now. Yep. Some of these we're going to answer quickly, guys, if we have a distinct opinion on it. We'll talk some of them out. How do we feel about Rome Odunze? We talked about this on the show a lot last week or yesterday, Josh. They just traded for him and gave the other guy Marvin Harrison. Do you think the target share comes back up? I do, but Josh, I'm not going to tell you I'm not worried, because let's be perfectly honest. When the whole 2025 season started, I was a DJ Moore fan, and DJ Moore is kind of stepping into his role right now.
I mean, they get the Giants this week. You can do anything to the Giants. You really can. So
yeah.
I'm not overly worried. Like, I think really what you're doing with Rome Odunze, you're just downgrading him into more of that like boom bust low end wide receiver 2 territory, where, you know, maybe you get the 5 for 50, which makes him a wide receiver 2. Yeah. Or you're going to get the boom
5 for
the top 5 for 170, or you get, you know, 3 targets, 0 catches. Like that's just kind of what I'm coming to expect from Rome Odunze now. So, yeah. But again, the production is there. Everything averages itself out. That's why I say he's more of a wide receiver 2 for me. But he's somebody that I would feel the need. Like if I'm filling out my lineup with my flex spots, I'm looking more for a consistent floor from that flex versus another boom bust type. Like, if I had my flex, I would pick Khalil Shakir over Jameson Williams. Like, that would kind of be the way that I would look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Rest of season kicker, McLaughlin or Fairbairn. I don't think you're going wrong here, but Josh, I think Buccaneers get on track out of their bye. I'm going Chase McLaughlin.
Sure.
Rest of season defense. I think this is a misnomer. There's no such thing as a rest of season defense.
I'd say the same about a kicker, though.
100%. But they've both had their bye, so I don't care anymore. So I move on from that. But Josh, the Texans have maybe the best defense in the NFL right now. I'm going to go with the better defense here, which is the Houston Texans. So,
yeah, I'm fine with that. They create turnovers.
Yep. What kind of trade are you looking to move for Rashee Rice right now? They would like a running back and a wide receiver, Josh. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. Because, I mean, I think really you have to look at Rashee Rice as at minimum a top 7 wide receiver in fantasy right now. So,
if you're talking about a top 7 wide receiver, you're looking at, if you want 2 players, I would say they both have to be out of the top 15 in ratings if you're going to go get them. Marvin Harrison, the window probably closed last night, though I still think he's a little bit more boomer bust. He was supposed to win last night. Josh, at running back, I was thinking
Breece Hall is like the perfect one for me. He's a boom bust guy.
Bucky Irving, Breece Hall, Quinshon Judkins, all next to each other in my rankings. One of those guys and a wide receiver, I think, might be the move.
Yeah, I think if you did one of those guys and then maybe, I'd say like maybe a T. Higgins or even Marvin Harrison, like, again, like sell high on Harrison, because the way that Arizona's talking, Kyler's coming back, and now you're getting Rome Odunze.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what you're getting. So he comes in and he has Breece. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well,
if you have Rachaad White, Bucky Irving becomes a good move for you.
Yeah, right. What 2 caliber can I get for Rashee Rice? Well, first off, if you have Rashee Rice, why do you want to trade Rashee Rice?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying is I don't think you need to Smitty.
Now,
I don't think you need to
acquire him. That's different, but I would not be looking to move Rashee Rice.
There you go. Really I think that's probably the best answer, Josh. We overthought this to answer the question. The best answer is
don't trade
keep Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
Marcus wants us to pick his starting lineup. JSN, London, Pittman, Tetaroa, Franklin, Dobbins, Monangai. Because I cannot make a decision on Monangai until I know what's going on with Swift, Josh, it's the first 4 for me very easily.
Yep.
So just start your studs, but let's throw this out there. If Monangai is the starter again, I'm not benching any of your first 3 players. I will bench Tetaroa McMillan for Kyle Monangai.
Yeah, that's fair.
Dig Tory Horton or Parker Washington. I don't think this news, Josh, moves Washington behind Horton for me yet. I still think Washington's role is safe for the next 3 weeks while Jakobi Meyers gets acclimated. I'll still go Washington over Horton.
I agree.
Last one, Daniels on IR has to have a rest of season quarterback. Oh, so this goes perfectly to what we were saying, Josh. You listed them T-Law and Stroud of this list. Would you put Young, JJ McCarthy, or Tua ahead of any of those guys?
No.
I would not.
I like Bryce Young, but he rarely throws for over 225. You might get some like spike week tight end or touchdowns with like, a 2 or 3 here, but it really seems like his safe floor is like 150 and a touchdown. Like that's difficult to count on for fantasy.
Yeah. Yes, Bam Knight is 1,000 million, 100% droppable.
Yeah, George, you shouldn't have had him anyway, but I'll let Ryan and Joe tell you otherwise.
That's my fault. Do we think Singletary sees more work than Tracy this week? I don't think you're ever going to be able to predict this work. He says he doesn't want to have to start Bill this week. I think Singletary and Tracy are likely in for a split for the rest of the season.
I mean, I have some notes on Singletary when we get to the section, so
assuming we get to the section,
right? Yeah.
We'll talk about Singletary in a bit. Quincy Davis, 9-0.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations. Would you drop Bill for Isaiah Davis? I would not.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, You're still talking about a backup running back for a starter.
Exactly. Trade away Gibbs and Brian Thomas Jr. for Genti and Ibuka. Gibbs is still the best player in this trade by far. I'm not making that move.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it gets me thinking because of how bad BTJ has been.
I love that. Someone just said we answer the questions before they even write them. Josh, I'm sorry I did not catch your answer on that.
It makes me think.
Yeah, that's fair.
It does make me think, and I feel like with the trade of Jakobi Meyers, you got to assume that Ashton Genti is going to absolutely have a dynamic second half where he sees close to 30 touches a game because they don't have anybody else, in my opinion.
Yep. We have a whole
segment. Well, let me rephrase that. They have Brock Bowers, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
we have a whole segment about this, Tom. Josh says it should be Colston Loveland, and he's probably right about the matchup. I say Harold Fannin because Dylan Gabriel can only throw the ball 8 yards, so tight ends are great.
Yeah, when you go about the 28-30 minute mark, that's where we start talking about Tucker Kraft replacements.
Yep. And if you guys are watching afterward, first of all, you would have saw it already, but it'll have timestamps in there for you as well. Smitty, I wish I could answer this question for you. I have literally no idea. I imagine he bought himself one more week.
I was going to say I think he bought himself probably a few more weeks.
Yeah.
Getting the win right before the bye week. I think they're probably going to go comfortably ahead with starting Fields at least for the next month, unless the wheels absolutely fall off again. In which case, then maybe they go for Taylor for a game or two. But
yeah. Pulled off the trade, Parker Washington for Dart. Let's hope it does not get vetoed. Maybe you don't have vetoes. Congratulations, Trone. Great move. I can't answer this because we're getting conflicting reports. I think Washington would be dumb to bring him back, Josh, and we agreed on that yesterday.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit yesterday. They said that because it's a dislocated elbow, the MRI was supposed to show whether or not there was significant ligament damage. If there wasn't ligament damage, it would open up a chance for him to return. But he has not been placed on IR. So we have to work under the assumption that he will be eligible at some point to come back. That said, if you lost Jayden Daniels, I am okay under the impression you don't have him the rest of the season. Because Washington right now is 3-6. If you're still sitting at 3 wins, 4 wins, there is zero need for you as a franchise to put your franchise quarterback in question because Dan Quinn already did that and admitted to it that he fucked up.
Yeah. Keenan, Tucker Kraft injured. Would we pick up Henry, Taylor, or Schultz? Josh, I still think Henry has certainly the best quarterback of this group. I'm going to go Hunter Henry.
Yeah, Hunter Henry for me. I would probably rank them Henry, Schultz, Taylor. Schultz becomes interesting just because I think he's got a better quarterback than Taylor, if I'm being honest. I think Taylor is going to get a little bit of a ding with Garrett Wilson coming back, but also, too, that could very well help his chances, too. So I just think Texans are going to throw a lot more than the Jets is really what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Dart or Darnold? I'm taking anybody against that Chicago defense, Josh. It's Jackson Dart all day for me in this one.
Yeah. I mean, for the bad matchup that was for Jackson Dart this past week, he still had 20-something fantasy points. He finished one spot ahead of Sam Darnold.
There you go.
Like, well, technically they were tied 27.2, but still, like, it's just what Dart is able to do with his legs. It's just so difficult to count him out in any given week.
Yeah.
I think he has 4 straight games over 50 rushing yards. Like, it's crazy.
Re-ask the question to throw in Loveland and Musgrave, and that does matter. It's Colston Loveland, especially with
it's Colston Loveland for me. He has a cake schedule the next 3 weeks.
Most touchdown upside, Loveland likely, Otten or Mason Taylor. It's Colston Loveland.
Yeah. Better offense.
Yep. Drop Kamara or Marks for Sam Darnold. Josh, you had a lot to say about Alvin Kamara yesterday. I tend to hold running backs it depends. I don't know Zach's situation. I don't remember a question telling about his quarterback situation. I'm probably not just going to go get Darnold for a running back if I don't need him.
I was going to say, if I don't need a quarterback, like let's say if I have Patrick Mahomes, who unfortunately is on a bye this week, if I have Josh Allen, if I have Lamar Jackson, if I have Drake May, I'm probably not rushing to get Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
If I have Caleb Williams, if I've been holding on to Brock Purdy, if I've been suffering through Trevor Lawrence, some of those guys I might be more willing to, but I just don't roster backup quarterbacks unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Zach does say Mahomes is on a bye, so.
Oh, okay. So you do need Darnold.
So you do need Darnold, yeah. Honestly, I'm okay with it. Yeah. I really am. I talked yesterday on Anxiety about Alvin Kamara. Like, he's just not doing it right now, guys. Like, it's not there. And for a guy that, consistently puts up 80, 60 to 80 plus receptions every single season, he's not even seeing 4 targets a game. That's where his value comes from. 9 weeks, he has 1 touchdown. He's not worth it right now.
Yeah. Make sure I'm getting every. Oh, this is the question. Singletary or Marks better this week? I'm still holding. Or no, bench stash. I'm holding on to Marks. Singletary.
I'm holding on to Marks as well. Yeah. I mean, again, better offense.
We know who Devin Singletary is.
We've got years of evidence of what Devin Singletary is, and it's nothing sexy.
Yeah. For this week, best defense, Cleveland, Rams, Carolina, or Buffalo. Josh, it's still the Rams for me. San Francisco, other than Christian McCaffrey, is nothing to be afraid of. It's the Rams are actually, as of now, I'm very early in my rankings process. The Rams are my defense too this week.
Psst, the Browns play the Jets.
The Browns do play the Jets, but the Browns also play their own offense. The Browns are a top 10 defense for me. Again, super early in my process.
You tell me Myles Garrett's not going to sack Justin Fields at least 3 times this week.
You're not wrong for someone who holds the ball that long. Okay, I'll give in. It's Cleveland. Kicker, Santos, Reichard, Meyers. Jakobi Meyers. I mean, is one of them in a dome?
That's Jason Meyers, I think, for a kicker.
I hate to Jason Meyers. I said Jakobi.
Is it Jason? Jason? I don't know kickers. I don't know.
It's Jason. Jason is at home against Arizona. Santos is
Reichard has been money this season, though, hasn't he, for Minnesota?
Was just going to say, and he is the only one in a dome against Baltimore. The answer is Will Reichard. So
there you go.
Always the dome kicker. Always the dome kicker. Keenan has to start JMO, QJ, Franklin, JSN this week with Lamb on bye. Are you cooked?
I think it's just boom bust. Like JSN's going to carry you.
Yeah, I was just going to say JSN's going to give you the floor. You just got to hope you have 3 ceiling plays. You need one of them to show their fucking ceiling. So
yeah, JMO would make me nervous. He waited until the last fucking drive. It felt like to finally
hell of a catch though.
Yeah, hell of a catch, but to finally do something in a really good matchup. So yeah, I'd be nervous, but I think QJ, this situation with the tackles personnel, I think is going to set up for more QJ in the coming week. So I think you'll be okay there.
All right. S Turbo has London, Ibuka, Adunze, has Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift. Would you trade Adunze for Jacobs, Kieran, or Genty? I absolutely would, Josh. Right now, you cannot go into this. If you don't have Kyle Monangai, you cannot go into this with DeAndre Swift as your RB2 into the playoffs.
Yep.
So,
happy. Yeah. I'm perfectly fine trading Adunze.
Yep. Whichever of the 3 you can get, I think you have them in the right order, by the way. So. Mm-hmm. Quincy Davis, everybody on buy. Are you starting Jakobi Meyers in his first game with Jacksonville Jaguars or Troy Franklin? I'm going to take the guy who has played for his team for more than a week. I'm going to go Troy Franklin.
Yeah, Troy Franklin gets the Raiders. Raiders struggle against the slot. So
yeah. Is Jayden Reed worth the stash? I think he is, Josh, with the injuries they're taking there. Now Matthew Golden getting hurt. Now Tucker Kraft getting hurt. I think things have opened up for Jayden Reed, assuming he's coming back.
Yeah. When does he come back? That's the question.
If you can afford to stash him, stash him.
Yeah, I mean, if you can stash him, I would. That's fine. We know exactly what Jayden Reed's role is in this offense, and I think until Jayden Reed is healthy and comes back, I think you're going to see a big spike in Josh Jacobs' pass attempts.
All right, folks, we are less than 10 minutes behind on questions right now. So I'm going to run a little free agency waivers, the whole thing the show's about. Every question will get answered. For anybody new to the show, we do not miss a question. I just want to get a little bit of the show sheet in. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I'll answer questions for the last half an hour of the show if we have to. So we're going to run 2 segments here, and then we'll come back to chat questions. Josh, we start the show off, as we always do, with waiting in the kiddie pool. We found out a lot of our listeners are into 8-team leagues still. And so we started an 8-team league just for research, just for the show, so you could talk to us about 8-team waivers. Go ahead and take it over, Josh.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do this a little quick so we can get to the meat of the show. Also, because I know some of these guys are mentioned in other segments. But I'll start at the quarterback position. I was 3 of 6 on my pickups last week, so I'll take that. But at the quarterback position, 3 guys that I found on waivers, 2 that I really like. Jackson Dart at Chicago, again, 50 yards, I think, in like 4 straight starts. Rushing, mind you, 50 yards rushing. And scored another touchdown this past week. Was able to do it against San Francisco. So, going against Chicago, who just let up 42 points to Cincinnati. While I understand that he doesn't have the passing options that he does, that Joe Flacco does, there's rushing opportunity. I think there's there. Matthew Stafford, self-explanatory. The dude is absolutely on fire. I think in his last 5 starts or something, he has 16 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, like something stupid like that. But a sneaky start that I like is Bryce Young against New Orleans. New Orleans defense on the road has allowed 8 touchdowns to 4 different quarterbacks. Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Caleb Williams, Matt Stafford. I understand that Bryce Young is not those caliber, but again, you take a dome team outside. Bryce Young is doing at least the bare minimum to get by. They can get you a top 15 floor this week, which again, if you need to fill a bye, it's not the end of the world. There's no quality running backs on waivers. I'm just going to say a prayer, light some candles, do what you got to do. But at the wide receiver position, I'll stick with the Giants. Darius Slayton against Chicago finally scored 10 or more fantasy points this week. Again, Chicago just got lit up by the Bengals. Jackson Dart's going to have to throw at some point, so I think there's some flex appeal there. Troy Franklin against the Raiders. Let's face it, it's the Raiders. Parker Washington, 59% of the slot just last week. Went 8 for 90. In the slot was 4 for 48. That is Troy Franklin's role. So I think this could be a boom week for Troy Franklin against the Raiders. Josh Downs, I mentioned this before. Atlanta is so good against outside threats. They struggle in the slot. Just gave up 4 for 100 and a touchdown to Demario Douglas. Josh Downs is better than Pop Douglas. At the tight end position, there's some really good options. If Dalton Kincaid is out there, go get him. Miami is trash.
He's out there.
Yeah. Miami is trash. Dalton Kincaid is going to play really well this week. Caught a touchdown this past week. Dalton Schultz against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, of course, Theo Johnson. There's a theme here. Start your Giants against the Bears. Yeah. But Theo Johnson has Jackson Dart's ear. They're looking at him in the red zone. I like Johnson's upside this week against Chicago.
All right. If you folks like what you're hearing, hit that like button. If you want to hear it again next week, 11 a.m., hit that subscribe button. If you happen to be listening on Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button. We are going to answer every question during the show, but if you still have questions after the show is entered, you will find links to our Discord in the chat right now and in the description of this video. We are always answering questions over there. As I mentioned, I want to knock out another segment, the main segment of the show. We call it Morse Code. It's how you're going to get the leg up on your league. We are talking 10 to 12 team league waivers. We break these ones down by position. I am not going to talk quarterbacks or tight ends. So, Josh, actually, I'll do it real quick. So if you want to hear about our favorite quarterback pickups, if you go to the 24-minute mark of this video, you will hear who we suggest you should go add if you lost Jayden Daniels. If you want to hear about tight end pickups, go back to the 28-minute clip of this video. You will hear us talk about who you should add if you lost Tucker Kraft. And as Josh already mentioned, I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on this segment, so we're going to get back to you guys here real quickly. But Josh, there is a player that probably should have made my article, and he is my number one waiver priority at running back right now, and that is Trey Benson. He is available in 50% of leagues. I fully believe he comes back this week. I fully believe he takes all of the work back. Also at running back, Dylan Sampson, Kareem Hunt, who is on a bye, and then Devin Singletary. Josh, you highlighted Devin Singletary, and then we can talk a little bit about Trey Benson.
Yeah, remember last week when everybody was like, oh, I got to go get Tyrone Tracy because Cam Scatterbo got hurt. And I said, save your money and go pick up Devin Singletary. Okay. First week post Cam Scatterbo. Snap percentages. Tyrone Tracy, 44%. 18 yards rushing on 5 carries. He did have 3 catches for 19 yards on 4 targets. Devin Singletary, 56% of the snaps. 8 carries for 43 yards. 2 targets, 2 catches, 8 yards. It's almost like they trust a veteran at running back to protect their franchise quarterback. I'm just saying, people. Look, at the end of the day, Jackson Dart is the leading rusher on this team now. But they trust Devin Singletary in pass pro.
Yeah.
That is the guy that you want if you need a desperation dart throw at running back or flex.
Josh, there is no denying that your advice over the last 2 to 3 weeks has actually been very, very good. And I know Joe and I are constantly giving you a hard time about it. As far as Trey Benson, I'm just pulling up my ESPN league right now that runs very standard scoring. Trey Benson is averaging about 9 points per game. That's the same as Woody Marks. That's the same as Tyjae Spears. These folks that everybody, that's the same as Kamani Vidal. How you treat those guys is how you should be treating Trey Benson. He's only out there in your league, I'm guessing, if you don't have IR spots. Otherwise, they would have already rostered him. But Josh, right now, I think Trey Benson is flying under the radar, and I do believe what we saw from Amari DiMercado this week, what we saw from Michael Carter the last couple of weeks. Trey Benson, I think, just absorbs all of that and becomes the lead back on this team yet again.
Oh, 100% he's going to be. If they do end up activating him before this week, because he is eligible to come off and play, all right, do you feel comfortable starting him against Seattle? Because I don't.
Seattle has a tough defense. You're not wrong there. Starting him this week, no, but I want him on my roster, not my
absolutely
roster.
You need to roster Trey Benson. Again, starting running backs need to be on fantasy football rosters.
Yep. And Josh, I hate blowing through the show sheet as quickly as we're about to. I'm going to let you talk about the guy you have highlighted, but we've actually talked a lot about Troy Franklin, Darius Slayton, and Josh Downs in this segment. So close out this segment with a little bit more love for Josh Downs if you have anything to add to the discussion.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just that. Atlanta sucks against slot receivers, plain and simple. Josh Downs, we talked about this with Alec Pierce. In this Colts system, people have defined roles. Pittman's the Z, Pierce is the X, Downs is the slot, the Y. Yep. That is the role. So if Shane Steichen has proven anything this season, he knows how to take advantage of matchups. Atlanta can be very hit or miss against the run. So you're going to see a ton of Jonathan Taylor because that is the focal point of their offense. But when they're throwing the football, you're going to see a lot of Tyler Warren down the seam, and you're going to see a lot of Josh Downs out of the slot. Yeah. I think those are going to be your top 2 receiving options this week for the Colts. And if Josh Downs is on waivers in your league, I would not be shy about starting him in the flex.
I agree. I think Josh Downs is almost borderline a must start this week because of that matchup.
Yep, I agree. Let's
jump back to the chat, Josh. They've been waiting about 15 minutes. Smitty, does Kirk Cousins get traded? I don't think anybody wants Kirk Cousins, to be perfectly honest. His contract is too big. He played like shit the one opportunity he got. And for what it's worth, you've seen a Penix injury. I don't think Atlanta's going to be in a rush to move off of their backup quarterback either.
Yeah, I mean, all of the reports that I've read have been Atlanta still values Kirk Cousins highly, despite everything that they're paying him to just sit on the bench.
Yeah.
You have a young quarterback. He's a veteran that can, help him in certain situations, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, Kirk Cousins wants the chance to start. That's why he went to Atlanta in the first place. But why would any team look at what he did in week 8 and say, yeah, I got to get me some of that? No, it's not happening. Like, it's trash, especially because Atlanta wants premium draft picks or for you to pick up any and all money owed to Kirk Cousins, and no team has that salary cap space.
Josh, I may make myself sound really stupid here. Other than, I'm just going to say what I was going to say. Is there any team of the 32 NFL teams that needs Kirk Cousins? Like, the teams with bad quarterbacks, what incentive is there for the draft pick? What incentive is there for the Jets to play Cousins over Justin Fields? What incentive? The Saints have to play Tyler Shook. So when you look at the teams with bad quarterbacks, they are exactly where they want to be, as weird as that sounds. I don't think there's unless it comes out. Let's Washington, but I think they would rather have Mariota. There's nobody. I would say you have to have a catastrophic injury, and the only catastrophic injury is Jayden Daniels. Washington's not trading for Kirk Cousins. No.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were floating Minnesota out there because obviously the connection's there. He loves KOC, never really wanted to leave. But again, Atlanta just paid more money. But again, he wants a chance to start. They need to see what they have in JJ McCarthy. He's only started 3 games. Cleveland is truly the only other team that would make any level of sense.
But they have 2 rookies they have to see.
But they have 2 rookies that they need to see what they have in.
Yeah.
And again, the only reason that you make the move for Cousins is because you look at the AFC North and you say, you know what? We do still have a chance to win because we have a damn good defense.
Yeah.
And Kevin Stefanski, for all intents and purposes, probably is coaching for his job.
100%.
And if that's
he's
the case,
not at this point, what dirt does he have?
And if that's the case, maybe he goes up to Andrew Berry and says, look, I know you gave me these guys. They're not ready.
Go get me Kirk Cousins.
Go get me a guy that can help me win, and we can utilize this defense and not waste the historic season that Myles Garrett is putting together. That's the only way this makes any sense.
That's a mad interesting scenario. I'm not going to.
But again, I don't think they have the cap space.
Yeah, they'd have to trade Myles Garrett
because and you're already paying Deshaun Watson. Like, I can't imagine you pay Watson and Kirk Cousins. Like, whew. You would have to give up one of those first-round picks to get Atlanta to cover the money owed to Kirk Cousins.
What you just said makes it sound very much like a Cleveland move. So now I'm saying it's probably going to happen. Josh, do we think Spencer Rattler ever sees the field as a starter for a team again? Or I guess ever sees the field again?
So, I mean, look, in any other year, I would say probably not. Like, he couldn't do shit. But when you look at that Saints roster, God, they're dog shit. There's not a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah.
And the talent that is there is pretty washed up. Our buddy Hoove here with Club Fantasy, very active in our Discord, and we talk a lot outside of it. He's been on the Saints bandwagon. He's a big Tyler Shough guy.
Loves him.
When you look at what Spencer Rattler did over the first half of this season, I would argue that it was at minimum top 20 quarterback play. Like, he looked for as good as he could have looked given
Spencer Rattler was not the reason the Saints sucked.
And that's really what I'm getting at. Like, there were some opportunities where he could have finished drives 100%. But again, like, outside of Chris Olave, they have no running game at all. Like, Alvin Kamara either has completely checked out after signing that extension, which when you look at his mannerisms, I get it. Like, but there's see, it's like
thanks for watching who
it's like Beetlejuice, you know,
it's all love, baby.
But no, so like I think that depending on how this Saints team finishes, and again, I've been very much a I love you, Kevin.
Great to hear from you, Kevin. Even better with the comment. Appreciate you, buddy.
But I think when you're like, I'm not a big Tyler Shough guy. Like, that's I wasn't really bought in, and it just, for a guy that has a strong arm, his deep ball is not there. Can he get better? Maybe, sure. But again, I always have questions when a guy that's that old comes into the league. How much better are they really going to get? So the biggest thing is like if the team doesn't make any improvements, the Saints are going to be in the market for a quarterback in the next draft, and they're likely going to have a top 3, top 5 pick. Could they use that to strengthen their defense and say, look, we're going to get one more year out of Shug because we don't like this quarterback class? 100% that could happen. But all it takes is one team to fall in love with one quarterback. That's exactly what we saw last year with Tennessee and Cam Ward. And if that's the case, then yeah, Spencer Rattler becomes a trade piece, and he's on a rookie contract. I still has 2 years left of that rookie contract. So like a team could very easily bring him in to compete for a spot. There's always going to be teams that are not in the market for a quarterback this year, and they just want to play it out and kind of see what happens, and then maybe go into the next year looking for that quarterback. Maybe Rattler becomes that guy, but then he's going to be in the exact same situation that he's in with the Saints, where he doesn't have much talent around him. So I don't know that he's really going to succeed, even if he does get another opportunity.
I think Rattler, not the same player, ends up in a situation like Mac Jones. He's going to need to bounce around as a backup, and then you're going to wait and see what happens with an injury. Actually, you know who he's a great comp to? Jakobi Brissett.
There
Jakobi
you go.
Brissett had that weird opportunity that he was afforded, and then had to bounce around as a backup. And now look at him. He looks like a damn good quarterback. I'm not saying that could happen with Rattler, but I'm not saying it couldn't either.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rattler's best case scenario is career backup that is able to, fill in spot starts and, give a team a little bit of hope for a playoff push in the interim before the injured quarterback comes back. Like that to me is kind of the career path that Rattler's on.
Quincy has Lamar and JD5. Would we drop JD5 for Flacco? Yeah. Absolutely. Make sure nobody else in your league gets Lamar. Kicker of the year, Brandon Aubrey has a bye week. I guess is he
kicker of the year though?
Yeah,
he missed the 68-yarder. I'm just saying.
He did. They gave him a chance. I joked that it was going to happen, and I was right. Anyway, yes, I would drop Shamir DK for a backup kicker, and I would hold Brandon Aubrey. If you're heading to the playoffs, Aubrey gives you what is a positional advantage, and there's no denying it. So
it's so weird to say that about the kicker position, but sure.
Still a position. Tom says, and someone else reiterated this in the chat, Josh, are we worried about Loveland with Kmet? I think you hit the euphemism right earlier in the show. The genie's out of the bottle. If a lot of you folks are new, and when I say new, I mean in the last 2 years new, but Club Fantasy made a little reputation for themselves about 2 years ago. We universally are on-air personalities, so at least the 3 people you see the most, me, Josh, and Joe, fucking hate Cole Kmet and think he sucks. And so this was a matter of timing, Josh. Colston Loveland's going to be fine whether Cole Kmet is playing or not.
Yeah, I think that's really what it boils down to. I mean, look, Ben Johnson's offense, even when you look back to Detroit, they're going to rotate tight ends. Like they're going to give different tight ends opportunities. They're going to run 12 personnel. Both of these guys are going to be on the field.
Yeah.
But I think what we saw from Loveland this week is essentially what we saw from Sam Laporta with Detroit, where the next guy, in Detroit, it was Brock Wright, it was Shane Zylstra. They get used much more sparingly because Sam Laporta is just that good.
100%.
And I think when you spend a top 10 draft pick on a tight end and he finally breaks out, he now shows you, you know what? I'm just better than Cole Kmet. So I don't like the snaps are still going to be split. I wouldn't go so far as to say Loveland's going to play 89% of the snaps the way that he has the last 2 weeks. But even at 70%, 65%, whatever it may be, like this team is still going to run the football a ton. Kyle Monungai showed that him and Swift can now work in a tandem because he took an opportunity and carried that offense on his back.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that at all in the show. My little brother had the exact same conundrum with Kyle Monungai, DeAndre Swift, and I said, let's not forget Ben Johnson. These guys aren't David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
But Ben Johnson knows how to rotate 2 running backs.
Yeah.
S Turbo, I'm going to push you back to the 28-minute mark of the show. Josh and I actually had this debate. I believe it's Fannin. Josh believes it's Loveland. Josh is probably right if you're looking for the big plays. And what I always say is, I've been saying this for 2 weeks now. It's time probably just to start looking for the big plays. It seems like that's how you're winning weeks. But Fannin, because his quarterback won't throw the ball more than 5 yards down the field, I'm going Harold Fannin. Josh is going Colston.
Yeah, Fannin's the volume play. But again, he also has David Njoku to compete with.
There's competition, yeah. Sean, would you trade Bijan and DK for Bucky, AJ Brown, and Laporta? I would absolutely not do this trade. I want the Bijan DK side, I guess is what I want to say.
Yeah, take the better player. That's Bijan.
Yeah. And then that was Keenan who was co-signing on the Cole Kmet. Like I said, Take it for what it is. This show hates Cole Kmet. I'll just leave it at that. Joseph. Josh got a little praise in the chat earlier. Josh is taking a little negativity in the chat. Apparently,
Josh was at work, so he didn't have time to light candles.
I would say I'm guessing this is from Saturday's show. So
no, it was in the Discord yesterday.
Oh, gotcha. At least Jay's doing his part. Quincy, would we drop? I'm gonna guess this is Godwin. Yeah. Would we drop Godwin or Tyjae Spears for Jakobi? I would not. I am not rushing to grab Jakobi Meyers.
Yeah, I'm not either. Let somebody else do it. That's
Texans and Panthers. Texans and Panthers over the Rams. I think Texans are probably close. Let me bring my rankings up. I know the Panthers have looked good. I'm still not ready to get on board. Texans get Jaguars. Rams get San Francisco. As of this moment, I have the Rams. I will say I'm actually starting to pivot, even like with Josh bringing up the Browns, and I'm going to move the Texans up. The one thing is the Rams are on the road in this one. I would put Texans over the Rams because they are at home and because that defense is just so good, Josh.
Works for me.
Tough question here, and I think so many people.
We've gotten this question from different users, commenters,
listeners,
and people like for weeks now. Because
I think everybody. Well, you had to. If you were missing Kittle, Gadsden popped at the right time. For me, Josh, I'm going around to Gadsden. I think he's going to be fine.
This question got more interesting for me when Joe Alt went down.
Yeah.
Because now I think that Gadsden's going to be a lot more boom bust as a result. I think I'm okay trusting Kittle rest of the season now.
Downs or Jennings, Josh? I assume this is this week, and we love Josh Downs.
Yeah, I love Josh Downs this week.
Yep. Jakobi Meyers, if he plays, or Darius Slayton.
It's Slayton for me.
Take the guy who's played for his team for a while.
Yeah.
Do we think Shedeur starts ever?
I do.
Do we?
What? Honest to God, what has Dylan Gabriel showed you?
That he can't throw the ball more than 8 yards down the field. I'm sorry, folks.
No, you're good. I mean, really, at this point, like, if they don't make a move to go get Kirk Cousins, which again I don't think they really can because of the salary cap, they're going to finish this season with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
You've gotten what? 1 win, I think, with Dylan Gabriel, maybe 2.
Yeah.
If you get 3, why aren't you going to start Shedeur Sanders the last month of the season? Because you're out of the playoffs at that point. You need to see if one of these guys can get you out of the quarterback conversation for 2026.
Well,
because you have 2 first-round picks. They have the ammunition to get whatever they want, whether it's a quarterback, improved offensive weaponry.
Yeah, it would make zero sense not to find out if Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, exactly. Because if Shedeur Sanders comes in and leads you to a 4-0 record over the last month of the season, you're probably out of the quarterback question, quarterback scenario in the 2026 draft. Probably. I'm not going to say that you are, but now it becomes, well, shit, this guy won with nothing. What happens if we get him something?
Sean Ford later asked if we're panicking on Bijan at all, and he has this trade offer. I would like to add I'm not panicking on Bijan, but Josh,
I'm getting 2 top 10 running backs.
I'm taking this trade all day long. That's a huge win. For folks I haven't read it yet, would you trade Bijan Robinson for Kieran Williams and Devon Achane? We are a very pro Devon Achane show.
Hey, remember when I had him as a top 3 running back and people laughed at me? Guess what he is? RB3. Just saying.
Yeah. Go make that trade, Sean Ford. That is an excellent trade for your fantasy team. Keenan, all love. Drake May does not belong in start sit questions. You start Drake May every week for the rest of this season, except for week 14.
Yep.
Kicker question. Kaimi Fairbairn, Jason Meyers, Matt Prater. Who does Buffalo have? It's
Prater's
almost certainly going to be Kaimi Fairbairn because of the indoor game. Matt Prater is at Miami. I'm going to stick with the indoor kicker if I'm picking this early in the week. Give me Kaimi Fairbairn.
Works for me.
Lions defense, Seahawks defense, Broncos defense. Let's quickly run out who everybody is playing here.
Arizona.
Seahawks get Arizona, Lions get Washington, and Denver gets Las Vegas on a Thursday. Give me Denver at home against the Las Vegas Raiders on a Thursday.
Yeah, it works for me. They just traded their top wide receiver.
Folks.
So their biggest question is, we got to stop Brock Bowers.
Yeah, exactly. That is basically the end of the show. We do have a segment called Deep Sea Diving. I play in a 14-team home league. We like to give you some of the waiver options that are out there in your very deep leagues. A lot of the waiver options that I like this week are probably out there in your very deep leagues, the ones that from earlier in the show. But these are the folks that you're going to give a little bit of extra look to if you need to start some really down-the-line players. I didn't include any quarterbacks in this list because it's the top 5. You shouldn't be looking much deeper than that in the deepest of leagues. At running back, Justice Hill. Brian Robinson finally had a little bit of a pop week. I still think he should be rostered by Christian McCaffrey managers. Kenneth Gainwell seems to be sliding into a more complimentary role again. And I think Blake Corum needs to be rostered by Kieran Williams managers. At wide receiver, Calvin Austin. Trey Tucker now, I think me and Josh don't agree on the caliber of player, but I think he needs to be rostered in deep leagues. Christian Kirk, Christian Watson, Malik Washington, Demario Douglas is starting to have some decent weeks. Those are my wide receivers. At tight end, Mason Taylor should have been on the upper list, as we talked about earlier. Luke Musgrave belongs down here on the lower list. Dalton Schultz, K. Dotton, and then if you really want to gamble, take your pick of the Steelers tight ends. Josh pointed out they get to face the Bengals, I think, twice in these last 5 games.
No,
so.
That's Baltimore.
Oh, Baltimore, which gets me to my last guy on this list. So the Steelers tight ends. If you want to gamble again, the Seahawks tight ends look involved as long as Cooper Kupp is not playing. And finally, Isaiah Likely gets to face the Bengals twice in the last 5 games. The Bengals are the worst team, I think, in NFL history against fantasy tight ends. Go out there and grab Isaiah Likely if he happens to be out there for you. Before we wrap up, we got one last question from our 9-0 buddy, Quincy. Brian Thomas Jr. or Jakobi Meyers? Honestly,
I answered it in the chat. I mean, there's a chance that BTJ doesn't even play, so you may have to start Jakobi Meyers.
There you go. Keenan, thank you guys and girls. We appreciate you. Shows like this get my blood flowing. I'm ready to go set my own waivers. Good luck on waivers this week. Club Fantasy will be live again at 10 o'clock tonight. It is our Women of Fantasy Football production sideline banner with Sam Holt and Derek Tate is going to be your first preview of week 10. This waiver show comes back next week at 11 a.m. And Josh and I with Joe Zolo, no pun intended, every Wednesday at 9 p.m. we go live. So again, next time you're going to see anybody live on Club Fantasy, it is sideline banner with Derek Tate and Sam Holt tonight at 10. Josh and I will see you guys tomorrow. Good luck on waivers this week. I hope it all works out for you. Fantasy playoffs. Go clinch your spot. See you next week.